What's up, YouTube? Today we're talking about the other NBA moves that were made today at the trade deadline. Some smaller stuff, but could be impactful. Just wanted to review them and go over them pretty quickly, see what they mean for teams and all that. Before we get into them, we'll go do kind of a rapid fire style here. Before I get into it, though, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment. Let me know what you think about your team's trades. And let's just jump on into it here. So let's start off with the Washington Wizards sending Montrezl Harrell to the Charlotte Hornets for Ish Smith, Vernon Carey, a second-round pick. Initial thoughts. Charlotte had been in the market for a center for a while. There's kind of the dream scenario that I had for that team was for them to be able to land Miles Turner. They don't do that. But they bring in Montrezl Harrell, who is a little interesting fit. So when Montrez was kind of brought up here in this draft or in this trade, I was like, because the one thing I worry about Montrez is just his defense, and this is already a really bad defensive team. So is Montrez going, like, how is he going to fit in there? He's also going to be taking time away from PJ Washington, who I think is probably the better play at this point of his career. Mason Plumlee's still on the roster as well. So just kind of a weird fit, especially given the fact that, like, they gave up a second rounder, Vernon Carey, and Vernon Carey I don't think is going to be anything in the NBA, like, too crazy, and Ish Smith. So they didn't really give up a whole lot. But this could very well turn out to be a half of a year rental for Harrell. So does this mean they're going to, like, immediately be like, oh yeah, let's re-sign him? I don't know if they will. I don't know if they want to. Just interesting, because I don't know if he makes your team that much better. And his market value, look at his market value. He's worth what, 2 second-round picks because Vernon Carey hasn't developed into anything, and Ish Smith for the money purposes. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty low value for a dude who was commanding really high value when he was a part of the Clippers and was the sixth man of the year. So interesting to kind of see where Montrez has fallen ever since his time with the Clippers. And yeah, so Charlotte does get a good offensive player to a degree. I like Harrell. I think he's okay, but again, I just don't know. When I watch him, he's okay on the defensive end. I don't think he's great, but yeah, we'll see. I think Montrez will be solid for Charlotte and fulfill a good role there. So give me the Hornets. I was gonna say the Bobcats. Give me the Hornets. Obviously winning the trade again. Wizards don't really get too much out of this, but they get something. They get a second round pick and a young prospect that they can work with, and then Ish Smith, his contract I believe falls off after this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's going back to Washington too. He's been to Washington before. Yeah, he's making $4 million next year, and it's non-guaranteed, and it would mean, yeah. So anyway, basically freeing up money. They get something for a player that they probably weren't going to keep anyway in Washington. So solid. Okay, give me a B plus. And as for Charlotte, give me also a B plus. I don't love it. I don't really think the fit's there, in the sense that, like, on the defensive end, which is where I really think they need the upgrade. But pretty solid, pretty good. Nothing to lose sleep over. Pretty okay. Now we got to move me for this one. The Utah Jazz, San Antonio Spurs, and the Portland Trail Blazers made a trade where, let's pull it up here if I can. Yeah, we'll get rid of me. Jazz are receiving Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Juancho Hernan-Gomez. And the San Antonio Spurs are receiving Thomas Satoransky. They are also getting either the Thunders, Rockets, Pacers, or Heat's 2027 second round pick, whatever is favorable, and that is from Utah. And then the Utah Jazz are sending Joe Ingles and Elijah Hughes and a second round pick to the Portland Trail Blazers. So the Jazz gave up 2 second-round picks. This is really a deal around the Jazz because San Antonio jumps on this because they just want to get a second-round pick for a guy that they're not going to keep next year. And then the Jazz obviously get a young player that we'll talk about in a moment. And then the Blazers, we'll really talk about them in a moment because I kind of don't understand what they're doing fully here. So let's get into it. So first off, let's talk about San Antonio. They basically are getting their second rounder. Nothing crazy there. Satoransky's not going to be a long-term thing there. And they continue to pile up on draft assets and draft capital. So we'll see kind of what comes of it, but nothing crazy there. Let's get them out of the way. I want to talk the Jazz next. So the Jazz, also with San Antonio, they had Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and he's okay. He has a non-guaranteed deal for next season, so they basically get a second rounder for a player that they probably weren't going to keep anyway and that they just traded for. So pretty good value. Again, nothing crazy. The Jazz, they add Juancho to the roster. I think he can be kind of like a small ball 5 for them. I don't know how much he plays. Obviously, Gobert's going to be getting a lot of the minutes of the 5 for the team. And then when it's not him, it's going to be Hassan Whiteside. So I don't know how much Juancho... I think Juancho is more of an option than he is like an actual player that's going to be on the team. So I don't think he's going to be somebody that they're like, we have to give him minutes and all that stuff. But young, pretty solid, and a good player. But probably won't get minutes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'm not crazy about Walker. However, I do understand the intrigue of Nickeil because I think they're going to slide him into the Joe Ingles minutes. I think maybe take it down a tick on the minutes there. He's not just going to immediately fill in the Joe Ingles minutes. He'll have it like 70 to 80% of them. I worry about the efficiency. I worry about what he has been in the league so far. He's young. That's okay, cool. I understand that. As far as a right now kind of a move, it's not. I don't think it really moves the needle too much for the Jazz. I think it gives them flexibility, though, in the future to be able to trade a pick along with Alexander Walker and maybe Clarkson, Bojan Bogdanovic, maybe one of those players is traded in the offseason, depending on what happens. And that's kind of their move because the Jazz had not had a whole lot of capital as far as, draft picks go. So they're kind of able to get one they don't really sacrifice much. 2 seconds and Elijah Hughes pretty much is getting you Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So I like it for the Jazz. I give them a B+ on it. I might actually take it down to a B. I just don't know how impactful he's going to be, to be honest with you. So give me a B. Give me an A for the San Antonio. They just did what they needed to do. Nothing crazy. Portland. What are we doing here? So Portland trades away CJ McCollum to the Pelicans, which we have a video on. So if you want to go check that out, feel free to do it. Portland trades away CJ to New Orleans. And what ends up happening is that they give up Josh Hart, some draft capital, and then also Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which I think is okay value. Maybe you could have gotten more. And I think there was some talk about some people that wanted to have the Pelicans give up a little bit more in order for the Blazers to get off of McCollum. But it was still pretty okay. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But then, what do they have from the McCollum trade? They just have Josh Hart and a pick? They didn't even get a pick. So Portland doesn't even get a pick. They trade away McCollum, and they really only have Josh Hart. Josh Hart to show for it. Now Alexander's gone. Really interesting. I don't really understand it. No picks at all? This is where I have to give this a C. In fact, a C-. I just don't really see what the deal is for Portland. Okay, cool, you got a second rounder. Okay, cool, you got a guy who was picked in the second round. So 2 seconds and an expiring contract. I know you want to clear up cap space, but who's a free agent this year that you think you're going to get? There's a lot of free agents that are going to be on the market in 2025. I anticipate that teams should probably plan for that summer as opposed to any other summer. Unless they're really targeting some player, which the Blazers might. Is there a move where they're able to trade for somebody? Maybe. But I would think that Keon Johnson, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Yusuf Nurkic, and maybe a future first that you could have gotten from New Orleans, I think that is enough to be able to net somebody, to land somebody. Nurkic, 2 young prospects, and a first-round pick. Like, that's a lot. Nurkic will hit free agency. I don't know if they'll bring him back. We'll have to see. And I just don't, like I said, I don't understand the deal for Portland, because they're like, we have Josh Hart, and we got him for CJ McCollum. Seems even, right? Absolutely not. So, not crazy about what Portland did. I understand what they're trying to get to, but that does not seem to me like the move that's going to get you to where you want to be. Okay, 4-team deal here. This one's another wild one. Sacramento Kings are receiving Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, Trey Lyles, Marvin, and they're sending Marvin Bagley to the Pistons. The Clippers are receiving both Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye, and the Milwaukee Bucks are receiving Serge Ibaka and either a Warriors or Cavaliers 2023 pick, whichever is less favorable, from the Pistons, and then a 2024 second-round pick along with cash. So Milwaukee adds to their collection of draft picks, some second-rounders, nothing crazy. They also add Serge Ibaka, who I don't know if I think he might be done. I don't know how impactful he is anymore. Has had injuries for the last couple seasons. It's just been a little rough for him. Maybe he finds something in Milwaukee, but it adds a versatile big to their lineup, but I just don't know how many minutes he's going to get and if he even makes a difference for the team this year before hitting free agency. Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye both from Milwaukee, I believe. Yeah. This is a move that I think they mostly make just to get off of Ibaka's money, because Ibaka, let's start with Semi Ojeleye and Rodney Hood. They're minimum contracts, right? Like, they're under $2 million each. So total is probably like 3.3 million roughly. And they trade away Serge's $9 million. So this is a luxury tax move for the Clippers. They bring back some players that who knows if they'll even play, and they get rid of some picks as well. Or, excuse me, they get rid of some money as far as Serge Ibaka's contract goes. Detroit does what Detroit does. They trade for a big guy that was a highly recruited player and out of college or out of high school, and try to see if they can work with him. Bagley, I don't know. Does Bagley play at all this year? I have no idea. Okay, I guess, for Detroit. It's a very Detroit Pistons move. And then lastly, the Kings, minus Halliburton, received Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, Trey Lyles. So some younger players, mostly Dante and Josh Jackson, are interesting here. You got to believe that Sacramento values DiVincenzo because he's going to be a free agent. And so you want to be able to re-sign him, and I guess they will. I don't know if DiVincenzo's worth re-signing right now after he's looked this year, coming off an injury. But they're banking that he'll be pretty solid. Josh Jackson, I mean, he was picked 10 years ago and just has never been really anything. So I guess that's okay. Sacramento, okay. Just okay. So this was a meh trade for me. Again, the Clippers, I think they deserve an A, but we'll go into grades in a moment. Let me finish with Sacramento. So Sacramento gets DiVincenzo, who they'll likely re-sign. Josh Jackson, who, again, probably, I don't even see his contract here. And then also Trey Lyles, who they're probably going to deny the team option and let him walk this year. So, okay, Sacramento, what do you give up? Nothing crazy. Bagley didn't want to be there. I'll give you a B+. Okay? Detroit, I'll give you a B. I don't really believe in Marvin Bagley. And while you didn't give up a whole lot for him, you did give up 2 second-rounders and 2 guys that you had in your rotation. They may not be that good, but they were in your rotation. For Bagley, maybe. I don't know. That's interesting. You also have Isaiah Stewart and Kelly Olynyk over there in Detroit, and I don't know. Is this we had heard that the Pistons had wanted a big to pair with Cade Cunningham for the future. Maybe it hits. Maybe it does. I think it's more likely that it doesn't. I don't know if Bagley is that great of an NBA player. The Bucks receive, again, Serge Ibaka. We'll see. I don't know if he's even going to play too much, but they do get second rounders, so I'll give them an A. Detroit, again, just a B. It's just meh. And then the Clippers do get under the luxury tax as well. Or not under the luxury tax completely, but they do reduce their tax bill for sure with this trade, so that deserves an A from me. Another quick one. The Orlando Magic are sending their 2023 second round pick, top 55 protected. So I don't know what the conveying rules are on that, but yeah, a second rounder, a future second rounder for the Celtics. They get rid of Bobo. PJ Dozier has now since been cut by the Magic, and then the Magic get a second round pick and cash. So I don't know, just a meh deal. I'm not even going to grade it, but worth bringing to the attention of some basketball NBA fans. Thunder. KZ Apala is headed to the Thunder from Miami, along with amended terms of a future first round pick that I think that the Heat owed them. Let me pull this up. And then the Heat receive either a Thunder's, Mavericks, Sixers second round pick, whichever is least favorable. And then keep in mind that the Heat previously owed the Thunder the 2023 first round draft pick that was top 14 protected, and they now owe the 2025 first round pick that's top 14 protected. So they basically changed the terms of the first round pick that's being owed to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City gets a young prospect that I think we just haven't seen enough of, but you just never know. Next trade is Houston and Boston. Boston brings back Daniel Tice. I don't really know why, but his contract's not that great, but okay. And then Houston receives Dennis Schroeder, Bruno Fernando. We don't talk about Bruno. And then Enes Freedom Cantor, who has now since been waived. So they get a young prospect in Bruno Fernando, who was with Atlanta, but he has now since been dealt to Houston. And again, just a flyer that you'll take on a guy, and getting off of Tice's money for the next few years. Like, that's interesting. Dennis Schroeder also provides point guard play for them for the rest of the season, but wouldn't be surprised if there's a buyout there, honestly. So, yeah, Houston gets just a young prospect. Again, probably won't turn into anything, but for Daniel Tice, who you signed to a not so great contract, like, pretty good. Pretty good. Next quick trade. Washington trades cash and nothing else to the Phoenix Suns. Or Washington receives cash from the Phoenix Suns for Aaron Holiday. Aaron Holiday, we don't know. We just don't know what he is. But a young guard that maybe can play. I don't know. I kind of like him. He's okay. Phoenix adds to their depth that they have. Speaking about Phoenix, they want Torrey Craig back. Torrey Craig left Phoenix this offseason to go sign with Indiana. Now Indiana has sent him back to Phoenix in exchange for Jalen Smith and a second round pick. So Jalen Smith is interesting. He had some games this year with Phoenix where he looked good. Other games where he just isn't playing. And he's never developed into the guy that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. I believe Maryland. So yeah, Phoenix kind of gives up on him and adds another rotational depth piece for their playoff run, who is familiar with the team already in Torrey Craig. And then the Pacers get just a young player for the future along with the second round pick. So good stuff there. I think A's all around on that one. Another minor trade, Goran Dragic was traded from the Toronto Raptors. He will likely get waived by the Spurs, but we'll get into that in a moment. The Raptors are also sending a 2022 first-round pick to San Antonio for Thaddeus Young, Drew Eubanks, and either a Pistons or Bulls 2022 second-round pick, whichever is favorable. If the Raptors make the playoffs, they will have sacrificed their pick for Thaddeus Young. So you got to believe that Thaddeus Young's now going to go play in Toronto, which is interesting. Okay. They got some bigs there though. Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, who they traded for in the Kyle Lowry sign and trade, and then Khem Birch. So I'm not really sure what that means for Toronto. Like, where does Thad Young? Like, you're gonna give up your first rounder for Thad Young if you make the playoffs? I don't know. Kind of weird. Kind of a weird one there for Toronto. I'll give Toronto like a B on that, but it really depends on how Thad Young plays. He could excel and be a big reason why they do good here at the end of the season, but I don't know. I don't know. And then I also mentioned that Goran Dragic is likely going to be bought out. San Antonio gets a future first. Nice. Pretty good. San Antonio, again, getting all these draft picks together. In the Celtics trade, in this trade, in the Jazz Blazers trade, like they're doing it. They're getting picks. They're rebuilding for sure. Goran Dragic likely will get waived. I don't know if that's a for sure thing, but one thing to note here is that this team is going to look a little. This team is probably going to say no to Dragic, and then he's probably going to go to Dallas. That's what I'm trying to say. That's kind of been the rumors here for a long time. Dallas was like, oh, we don't want to trade for him because like we can just sign him when somebody buys him out when you guys finally move him. Dragic played one game. I think 2 games maybe. But he played one game. He played pretty good. So maybe he can help a team. But maybe he's not heading to Dallas anymore because of the Dinwiddie trade. Who knows? And that's it, everybody. Now we're back to the Nets and the Sixers. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, this is just a minor trade video to talk about the minor things that happened in the NBA today. It'll be a fun second half of the year. And we'll be bringing more content. And yeah, the sun's like right in my face. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So feel free to check out the other videos. And we'll see you soon.